So since his firing, Matt Rhule has been on a media world tour explaining to the world why what happened in Carolina was not entirely his fault. And in today's video, I want to try to make this the last time we have to speak on Matt Rhule for a very long time. You're listening to Money in the Bank. So I don't feel like I have to explain what Matt Rhule has been doing in his media press run. Pretty much like I said before, explaining why what happened in Carolina wasn't entirely his fault, and wanted to take credit for what the Panthers have been here in the past 4 to 5 weeks. Now, Matt Rhule, right? And I want to make this the last time we really have to talk about this guy because he's no longer with us. And I think we would be so much better served as a fan base if we just completely erase this man out of the history of the Carolina Panthers, the same way he tried to do with so many Panther greats. With Matt Rhule, right? I have a hard time respecting what he is as a coach, and I usually don't like to do videos where I'm kind of feels like I'm personally attacking somebody. But the one thing we've always said about Matt Rhule is that we don't feel like we don't think he's a great coach. We don't think he's a good coach, right? But we do feel like he's a decent guy. He's a guy you may want to kick it with and hang around, you know? And I'll be honest. I tweeted this out and I'll say it here. There's nothing likable about a guy that can't take accountability for his own failures. Nothing likable about that. I can't want to be surrounded by that. I know the things that the redeeming qualities that he did have, that he once had, aren't even redeeming qualities for him today. I think he has totally shown his whole entire ass during this process, right? He sounds like a bitter, scorned ex that can't get over the fact that maybe they were the problem and that they were holding the other person back. That's what it looked like. That's what it sounds like. And for a guy that's gotten an 8-year deal, fam, first of all, shout out to his agent. Whoever his agent is, we need to talk because I think it's time for me to start getting some paper for what we do right here. You know what I'm saying? But his agent's been able to secure him a 7-year deal from the Panthers and an 8-year deal from Nebraska. My guy, you're a multi-millionaire off of being a bad coach. You're an average coach. Like he's not a proven elite coach at any level. Let me be very clear. He's had success, but he's not a proven elite coach at any of these levels. And yet he's gotten way more opportunity and way more money than I think anyone has deserved doing this here, which is coach football. And for a guy, and here's the thing, I already explained that he sounds like a bitter scorned ex, but it lets me know that everything that was being said about this guy, if it wasn't all the way accurate, it was somewhere in the ballpark. This guy had control issues from his time in Carolina, wanting to control the media narrative, like the social media team being hampered by some of the things that he wanted put out there, trying to erase great players from our team's history, trying to pretty much throw any and everybody under the bus. And every opportunity he got, Matt Rhule took it upon himself to make sure that he wasn't the one that had to take the brunt of the blame. And for me, personally, I cannot see how that is any way remotely a guy that I would want to be around. And it explains so much why you had guys with such terrible body language in the locker room. DJ Moore, I've never seen DJ Moore look so ready to cuss out reporters and pretty much tell everybody, get them out of my face, that I did when Matt Rhule was here a few weeks ago. Brian Burns looks so much happier now. Looks so much more full of life. You talk about guys like Shaq Thompson has let it be known that, hey, this team is trying to do this for Steve Wilkes, and that this team is banded together under the tutelage of Steve Wilkes. And what you see is a team that's now being led by a real leader, that's now being led by by qualified men, and you're seeing them play at least average football, which we couldn't even get consistently out of Matt Rhule and his tenure here, right? And I mean, for him to take credit for what the Panthers have done thus far, right? Technically, he does deserve credit. He did draft JC. He did draft Derrick Brown. He did draft Jeremy Chin. But all the while, a coach that had to take over mid-season has been able to muster up nearly your season win total for the last 2 years, right? Like in this short amount of time, he's been able to get this team to play adequate NFL football, to look like an adequate NFL team. Then to say things that, he didn't have any say. He didn't have, he kind of talked around it. He pretty much said that, look, I had input, but I didn't make the decisions. And when it comes down to the draft and free agency, when there's clear video from the team media of you talking about guys you like and guys that you want, guys that you want to draft, hell, your wife made a draft pick for you. And now it's, it was Scott, it was Hurney, it will Tepper, like blaming everyone else except for the person that got you here. Like and here's the thing, we can go back all the way back to 2020, right? And I know you guys probably weren't around for the original show that we started when we wanted to talk about the Panthers and be Panthers, analysts and things of that nature. But even then, I knew how I felt about the guy. I never wavered, and I'm glad I did. Because everyone that felt the way that I did, and I know many of you felt the same way, were vindicated in the fact that this guy is a complete and utter piece of, yeah. You feel me? So, I mean, look, here's the thing, right? I've heard talk. We talked on the podcast this past weekend, and Brock brought up, maybe, I don't know if I want Wilkes as the head coach, and maybe possibly having him come around have him stay to be the defensive coordinator, maybe better suited. Now I'm telling you this right now. There is no way in God's name that a guy like Steve Wilkes should have to take the shortest straw out of these opportunities that are out here in the NFL, while a guy like Matt Rhule gets to come in and get a 7-year deal and completely and utterly ruin a franchise which the talent he inherited was the best talent any new coach in Panthers history had inherited. Like, John Fox didn't inherit a great team. You know what John Fox inherited? He inherited a team that went 1-15 the year before. Oh, you know what he did? In 20 months, he had that team from 1-15 to 7-9 in 2002 and to 11-5 in 2003 and playing for a Super Bowl title. Ron Rivera, you know what Ron Rivera inherited? He inherited a team that had went 2-14 the year prior. Got that team to 6 wins in year 1. Got the team to 7 wins in year 2, and then broke through in year 3 with 12, and also got you to a Super Bowl and won consecutive division titles that had never been done in our division at any point prior to him being the head coach here in Carolina and in our division history, period. These are great leaders, and this is kind of where I'm talking about this. I talk about this being a 2-part video. What's happening with Steve Wilkes and this team is not by accident. It's not by mistake. They're responding to a guy that knows how to lead men. And I'll be honest, if we're being completely honest, who out here in the coaching sphere, that the guys that are gonna be up for head coaching gigs this year, who's on that list that you just so love so much that Steve Wilkes wouldn't be a top 3 to 5 candidate for this job? So we can go through the Miko Ryans. I don't know all these names, but you'll know who I'm talking about when I refer to the teams. The Eagles offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey. God, who else? I mean, Byron Leftwich. There, again, if we went through the entire list of guys, none of which I think are exponentially better than Steve Wilkes. Heck, none of them have the coaching resume of Steve Wilkes in the years put into this game as Steve Wilkes. Now, Steve Wilkes has been a head coach elsewhere. He knows how to run an operation. Now, we all know that. I think we can all agree, and if you don't, then this is just me speaking, but at least I feel that his entire tenure in Arizona was a sham, and that he was never set up to be successful there. Because if you give a head coach 1 year with a quarterback that he didn't want, because Steve Wilkes, on the other hand, in 2018, he didn't want Josh Rosen. He wanted Josh Allen. So a guy that clearly, to me, has a clear indication that he knows what he's looking at when it comes down to talent. And maybe not clear, but at least I know he has an idea of what he's looking for when he looks for talent. There are some guys that are coming out this year that if Allen is who he loved, then a guy like Will Levis is a guy that I think he would probably fall in love with during the draft process, or Anthony Richardson will be another guy he will fall in love with during the draft process, considering the fact that we're probably not going to finish in the top 2 when this is all said and done and the season is over. What I'll say is this. There's no reason that Steve Wilkes shouldn't be a top candidate for this job. Now, at the end of the day, let's all understand that he has an opportunity to take it by winning games. And how this team finishes is going to all but indicate whether he's going to be in play and in line for an opportunity to coach this team full time. I don't know what's going to happen. I've been impressed with what he's done, especially considering this isn't a roster that he picked out. This isn't a coaching staff that he had in mind for his time as a head coach. And he's made do with what he's had. He's played PJ Walker and gotten a win. He's played Sam Darnold and gotten a win. Baker Mayfield should probably start looking for jobs as a youth pastor, honestly. But this is a guy that's worked with what he's had. He's not complained. He's made this team as good as it possibly can be, I think, right now, especially considering where they started. And we're a game and a half out of first place for the NFC South. I don't know how this thing shakes out. I don't know if we make the playoffs. I don't know if he gets a real opportunity, but I know this. Steve Wilkes has earned the opportunity to be a head coach somewhere. And I think, personally, it would be a grave mistake to let that man walk out the door and make another franchise great. But that's all I got for today's video. It's kind of more of a rant with a chance for me to finally get some things off my chest with all that's been going on, and a chance to not have to talk about X's and O's there for a little bit. So you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow us on Instagram at P1N_ network and Panthers Nation with the 1 where the I's supposed to be, because you already know what time it is. And with that being said, I'm out.